Am I the a-hole for not going to my stepsister's wedding? I, 29, think this is obvious to me, but my family says I'm being an a-hole, so I don't know. My ex-boyfriend cheated on me with my stepsister, 29, and I still haven't gotten rid of the pain and hatred. I'm still taking therapy, and now I can't date or else I'm afraid they'll cheat on me. I found out on the day of my pregnancy. My ex told me that he's leaving me for my stepsister and that she's also pregnant. So I gave birth with no one to help me. My stepsister got engaged to my ex and they're planning a wedding. They invited me like nothing happened and everything was fine. She even called to discuss what I was wearing to the wedding. I told her I'm not going. She threw a tantrum and went to her mom. Her mom called and said I was being petty and not keeping the peace by not letting go of the past. I still refused, and now my entire step family's calling me an a-hole and all kinds of stuff. My stepsister came to my freaking house and said I was just a bitter old C-word, and no one would date a jealous person like me. I immediately cut contact after that, but my friends say I should at least visit or congratulate them. I don't know if I'm being petty though. I know I'm not the a-hole for not going, but should I congratulate them? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Obviously not the a-hole. I assume you're at least getting child support, etc. I am. Does your whole step family take crazy pills? No way in hell anybody could expect of you to go to that wedding or to congratulate them. WTF? Where is your father in all this? Does he not have a backbone? Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Listen closely. Screw them. Screw your ex, your stepsister, your stepmom, the whole family. Don't congratulate them on anything because they're only pushing it so they can feel less guilty about the messed up things they did. Take yourself and your baby if they are in the picture and live your best life without their toxicity. Not the a-hole. 100% screw them. In what universe is this action okay? Just wondering what you're wearing to celebrate your cheating ex and I getting married. Tee-hee. If that isn't his court-ordered custody time with your kid, I wouldn't even let them go. Screw your step-family. Not the a-hole. Your ex is marrying your stepsister. There is no way in hell you would be able to drag me to that wedding if I was in your shoes. Being honest, I am amazed you have contact with your step-family. I would have dropped them and any so-called friends who tell me to go to that wedding. I don't know. There is something to the idea of going to the wedding, eating all the food, drinking loads of free booze, and then getting up and giving a toast with all the gory details of how the happy couple met. Added bonus if OP mentions how great it's going to be to raise the two kids, with the same father, side by side. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my twin brother's wedding? I, 21 male, first started dating my now ex-girlfriend, 21 female, when we were both 16. However, we made the decision to break up before heading off to college when we were 18. I decided to go to a few hours away while she decided to stay local. Also note that my girlfriend was very close with my family, so this was hard on my family as well. When returning home from my first year of college, my brother surprised me with the news that he had been dating a girl for over 6 months now. Only problem? It was my ex-girlfriend. I was obviously pissed, and my brother understood, but made it clear he had no intention of breaking up with her. Eventually, we came to the agreement that we would continue our relationship if he never mentioned her to me or made us interact. He happily agreed to these terms. However, recently my brother surprised me with the news that the two of them are now engaged, and he wants me to be his best man. I told him absolutely not. He and I had agreed from the beginning that I would not have to attend any event where my ex would be there. My whole family is calling me selfish and telling me I can suck it up for one night. But I just don't feel comfortable being the best man at my ex's wedding. Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to the wedding and be his best man? Edit. For clarification, yes, we are identical twins. Not the a-hole. Those were your terms. He agreed to them. End of story. Because life is black and white and there is no nuance to anything ever. OP, who cares who was the a-hole here? It's done. She's going to be your sister-in-law. You've got to get that right with you. Go have an honest conversation with your brother. A person's personal boundaries are black and white. They are also fixed in place, And in this case, they aren't absurd or crazy when this girl became so attached to Opie's family that after over a year of dating Opie, she started dating his identical twin. That's fine for her random brother, but it's not fine for Opie, and that's okay. If this is the hill he wants to die on, more power to him, as long as he knows that his relationship with his family may suffer. His family doesn't respect his boundaries. They see her as a surrogate daughter, and Opie sees her as an ex from a very formative time in his life that they want to force him to be around for forever, and the family doesn't get it. So it's up to each individual to do what they feel comfortable doing here. Not a-hole. I think dating your sibling's ex is a scummy thing to do anyway. So why the hell should you be uncomfortable for someone who's done that to you? I think you handled the entire situation well, better than most people would, with the agreement you both came up with. I'm actually shocked your brother thought you'd say yes. Like, that generally baffles me. Why on earth would you be the best man at your brother's and ex-girlfriend's wedding? Why is it so common on Reddit? I can't think of a person having a less attractive quality than being my sister's ex. Well, no a-holes here. Because you have every right to not go to your brother's wedding, but you know that you're basically sacrificing your family for the rest of your life. For a girl you dated as a teenager. You guys didn't work out, and after you broke up, she and your brother realized they were more compatible. They've been dating for over 2 years, so it's not like a fling to spite you. But they're going to marry, which means they will be invited as a family to every family event. If they choose to have kids, they will be your nieces and nephews, and your parents' grandkids. The grandkids will definitely be invited to every event. So you need to basically decide if you're willing to say no to every family event in the future, but never meet your brother's kids, because there's a woman he was more compatible with than you were. While I agree with all of this, there's more to it. Twin brother risked his relationship with Opie for a girl. Like, can you imagine? I would feel more betrayed that my own twin sibling thought it was okay to go after my ex. What does that honestly say about someone's priorities and values? Nothing good, I'm afraid. Opie will get over the girl one day, but that deception, that betrayal, will stick. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my maid of honor's boyfriend at my wedding? Myself and my maid of honor have been best friends for around 6 years. She got into a relationship with her boyfriend about 3 years ago. He doesn't like me because every time they argue, she comes to me and she stays with me and my fiancé. Around 3 years ago, I had a party for my birthday. My best friend had just gotten with her boyfriend 10 days previous and insisted that I invited him. I told her she could bring him. When they came, they both sat in the corner for the entire night and didn't speak to anyone else, didn't dance, and didn't even wish me a happy birthday. 2 years ago, my best friend found out she was pregnant and he didn't want anything to do with it. He told her he was leaving if she carried on with the pregnancy, so I stepped up and helped her. I went to every doctor's appointment, paid for all her pregnancy vitamins, and bought her new clothes to fit her changing body. Through the stress of everything with her boyfriend, she miscarried, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. I was by her side through everything, stayed at the hospital with her and bought everything she needed. When she woke up from surgery, she thanked me for everything I'd done, and her boyfriend got angry. He said that I didn't do anything for her, and that I was a horrible friend. I let it go because I thought he was just angry and upset about everything that had happened. But even now he still tries to stop her from seeing me, and whenever she's with me, he is constantly messaging her so we can't spend any time together, just us. We have spoken about his dislike for me, and she said that she wished things were different, but he is stuck in his opinion of me and there's nothing I can do to change it. I have expressed to my maid of honor that I don't want her boyfriend at my wedding, because I feel like something would happen to ruin my day, especially after seeing how they reacted on my birthday. Why would I want someone who doesn't like me to be there on my most special day? She doesn't understand why I don't want him there, and has told me she's not coming to my wedding unless he's invited. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and she needs to wake up a bit. This relationship sounds extremely toxic. I wouldn't want him there in your shoes either. Why risk someone who hates you being at your wedding? This 100%. You didn't mention her family or other friends. Are you all she has? I know my family would chime in if I had a relationship that tainted my best friendship. The hardest part of this for you, honestly, is she's already made her choice and you need to face it. She's chosen to stay with him even through his cowardly, manipulative, disgusting, and disrespectful behavior. You inviting him to the wedding will only potentially ruin your wedding, and it will only delay the inevitable. She's already chosen. Save your wedding and yourself. May your marriage be a happy one. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family. She moved in with her boyfriend and his mom over a year ago and has been quite isolated since. We don't really have other friends, just each other. Thank you. Not ahole, but I'm very concerned for your friend. My guess is she's trapped in an abusive relationship from the way he's trying to cut off her support and isolating her from her friends. We saw the same red flags. Opie's not ahole. Her friend is almost certainly in an abusive relationship and has the wool over her eyes. It often takes the abuse turning physical to recognize it as abuse, and by then, it is basically always too late. I really hope that Opie can find a way to help her friend somehow. Not ahole, and I don't understand how some people can look past how their significant others treat other people. Why would anyone want to be with someone who treats anyone, let alone someone they love, the way he treats you? Don't invite him. You shouldn't have to worry about being disrespected on any day, let alone one that's meant to be celebrating your happiness. If she doesn't want to come, that's fine, but she needs to let you know now so you can choose another maid of honor. Honestly, I just go ahead and start finding a backup in case she pulls some kind of stunt closer to the day to get you to cave. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole because I don't want to go to my sister's wedding? My 30 female sister 28 female is getting married June 26. She was supposed to get married last summer, but you know. They went to the courthouse and got married in paper last autumn, but now that everyone's vaccinated and restrictions are lifting, they're planning a ceremony and a reception in Florida. I've been in a master's program for the past 2 years and just graduated. I'm moving across the country, Dallas to Seattle, the week before her wedding because I received a job offer, and I'm supposed to start the Monday, June 28, after her wedding. My current lease is up exactly 1 week, June 19, before her wedding. The new lease in Seattle starts in June 24. My plans have been in place for about 2 months. Her plans have been in place for a while, but she only recently sent out invitations with the date, and I realized she couldn't have picked a worse weekend for me. It's going to take me 4 days to actually drive the U-Haul to my new estate with a dog and cat in tow, and it's not possible for me to move in at my place in Seattle much earlier because the current tenant doesn't move out until 2 days before. I already called to check. It's not possible for me to move from Dallas later because my current apartment has already rented out the unit to someone else. I checked that too. Not to mention the logistics of a very short-term lease are going to be awful and expensive when I'm already trapped for cash. I've never been close to her. She's never come to any of my important events, aside from high school graduation because my parents made her. I wasn't invited to the wedding shower stuff for their courthouse wedding. I'm not in the wedding party, not invited to the rehearsal dinner. I only received a wedding announcement with registry info and an invitation to the wedding and reception. I RSVP'd no. Now she and my family are losing their minds. I've been called every kind of name and have been accused of planning it this way on purpose. They're saying I still could come. I'm just choosing not to. I guess I could, in theory. Race to Washington, pay movers to throw all my stuff in my new apartment on the 24th, find a place to board my dog and cat on short notice, buy a plane ticket to fly to Florida on the 25th, attend a wedding on the 26th, fly back on the 27th, and be home just in time to start my new job the next day. I just don't want to, and can't afford it. The move and apartment deposit has me already stretched pretty thin money-wise. Pet deposits aren't cheap, and neither is gassing up a U-Haul for a cross-country move. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. I didn't RSVP no without explanation. I did call both my mom and sister and explain I probably couldn't be there. They both got irritated and insisted I could probably find a way. And when they asked for a final answer a week later, I said no. That was when all hell broke loose because they both assumed that with a bit of time and reflection, I'd understand how important it was to be at my sister's wedding. Not the a-hole. Have your parents offered money to help your logistics to do it? Why not tally up all the added costs and say if they can pay, then you'd be delighted to attend. Put the ball in their court. I mean, Opie hasn't been invited to the pre-wedding stuff. Courthouse wedding, isn't invited to the rehearsal dinner. I wouldn't want to go either. It isn't just about the money, though that is a valid concern. But the bride, I put quotes only because she's already technically married, throws a fit when OP says no to the one event they're actually invited to because of a plan that's already been in place for a long time. Not today, OP. Honestly, I tell her and your mom to kick rocks. Exactly. If the sister actually wanted OP there, she would have asked if she could come before the date was set in stone, and not told her about it only a month before the wedding is supposed to happen, especially since there's a major traveling involved in a pandemic. I highly doubt the sister wanted to have OP there at all. She probably just got pressured by the parents. Not today, Hull. Your sisters and parents had a choice too. They could have responded with understanding and kindness, noting their disappointment and asking if there was a way they could help to make your attendance possible. Yes, you can fly Friday and return Sunday. Yes, you can board your dogs. That's a lot of stress the day before you start your new job, not to mention the relocation. Be honest with your sister and family. While there is a lot of stress related to other events, relocation, new job, you simply don't have the financial resources for boarding, flights, hotel. Send your wishes for a happy event along with your gift. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my sister-in-law after she expected me to pay her and her friend's bill? So I, 25 female, went out for dinner for my sister-in-law's 28 female bachelorette party this past weekend. Between my sister-in-law and my husband, 26 male, sister-in-law has always been the golden child of the family. Growing up, my in-laws cuddled her and gave her everything that she wanted, while my husband always got the crappy end of the stick. She was always the popular girl in school, cheerleader, lots of friends, and all the boys loved her, while my husband was always a little more nerdy and got picked on quite a bit. Even my in-laws would give him a hard time about this and say he needed to be more like his sister. Well, fast forward to today. Both my husband and I went to top schools, got our degrees, and currently have very well-paying jobs in tech. I'm not trying to sound braggy. This is just for context, but we live a very, very comfortable life. Sister-in-law still currently lives at home with my in-laws where they foot all of her bills. She had my niece, 4 female, with her ex, and is currently on marriage number 2. This past weekend, I was invited to this fancy upscale restaurant in my city for my sister-in-law's bachelorette party, saying she just wanted to do a nice dinner. There were 8 of us in total, and at the end of dinner, the bill comes out and the waiter hands it to me. I'm sitting there confused for a second, until sister-in-law speaks up and is all, "My parents and I were talking, and we're thinking you and my brother can handle the bill for this, as a wedding gift, since you're not financially contributing to my wedding." I stared at her shocked for a moment, and then was like, "And you didn't think to bring this up to me beforehand?" She started going off about how we're so well off, so what's the big deal? And she's sure her brother wouldn't have an issue with it. I asked her why her fiancé doesn't foot the bill, or my in-laws, and where in her right mind she thinks it's okay to spring this on me. She started going on about how we're the wealthiest in both her and her fiancé's family, and that she didn't think I would act like this and would say yes. I told her, "Well, sorry, but I'm not your parents. Don't expect handouts from me." She called me selfish, and I called her entitled brat, paid for my half of the bill, and left. Well, as expected, my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and even some of the cousins and aunts on my husband's side have been absolutely furious with me and are expecting me to apologize for the comments. I told them over my dead body. Husband is 100% on my side, and we are debating on not going to the wedding. I was talking to my mom, and she thinks I took it too far with the comments, and she just apologized to keep the peace. Am I the a-hole? Info, the bill was close to $1,000. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Don't apologize. No matter how much money you make, you are not expected to 1. Contribute to your sister-in-law's wedding, WTF. 2. Foot the bill for an entire bachelorette party that you are attending as a guest. 3. De-escalate her temper tantrum once she didn't get her way. The burden of payment for a bachelorette party usually falls on the maid of honor and bridesmaids, and arranged for ahead of time, or the bride. And a far more common occurrence is that everyone pays their own way but chips in for the bride so that she is taken care of. But again, that's settled way ahead of time. Not the a-hole. I guarantee you were only invited as a setup to try and make you pay. Don't go to the wedding. And I'd honestly consider how much contact you want to maintain with sister-in-law and your in-laws moving forward. It's clear they see you two as nothing but an ATM. They obviously splurged as much as they wanted as well, with the bill being close to $1,000. Not the a-hole. The fact of her springing that on you at the end is unconscionable. It'd be one thing, but still questionable, if they had approached you privately beforehand to see if you'd throw a dinner for them. It's another entirely to surprise you at the end of a dinner and expect you to pay for not only her, but 6 of her friends. Even more so that she did it publicly. My guess is, she wanted to rely on you acquiescing to social pressure to do it without a fuss. Also that she expects contribution from you for her wedding. If you were her parent, that's one thing. But as a future sister-in-law? This is so wildly entitled on her part, and on the part of the families backing her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my family's cookbook with my half-sister? My mom's grandma started a cookbook before she had kids. My grandma inherited it off her when grandma started having kids, and then my mom got it before she had me. My mom gave it to me when she was sick. I was 7 at the time and died soon after. She told me to be careful with it, and that it was special to our family. A couple of years after she died, I learned my dad had cheated on her with his now wife, and that my half-sister was the product of an affair, and born before my parents' divorce was finalized. I was too young to realize when it was all going on. After learning this, I had a hard time being around my dad. I remember my mom being sad, and it made sense why. I also learned that he had told my mom in a really cruel way. How I found out is, I eavesdropped on a fight between my dad and my maternal uncle and aunt and heard it all, including how much my dad hated how boring my mom was. I remained distant from him, his wife, and my half-siblings ever since, but I have 2 more half-sisters and a half-brother. My dad decided to tell the oldest of my half-siblings about the cookbook. He mentioned how much I valued it and all kinds of stuff. She wanted to share it with me, to cook from it and to get right in it like I will someday. She pestered me about it, and every time I told her no. Then her parents would tell her more about it. In the end, she was upset and sobbing over being told no. I had told her it was something special from my mom's side, that I wanted to keep it private until I have children. That wasn't good enough, because she insisted we're family and she's my sister. My dad and his wife were angry with me. My dad's parents also told me I should have shared it with her, and that I'm being cruel to her when my mom isn't alive to care if the child born from the affair gets part of the book or not, but she could be closer to me because I share it with her. I don't really care about my dad nor his wife's opinion. I have no respect for them. They are pieces of trash in my eyes, but my grandparents and I always got along okay enough. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And give the book to your aunt or uncle for safekeeping. Before it goes missing, is destroyed or edited. Scan the pages and make yourself a working copy. Then put the original somewhere safe as a treasured heirloom. Maybe get a safe deposit box. I'm petty. I'd scan the pages but make some photoshopped alterations, which makes the recipes taste wrong / inedible. You'll know. But if they copy your book, they won't be able to reproduce them properly. Not the a-hole. But you need to hide that book somewhere safe because they will take it. If they're petty enough, they'll probably destroy the cookbook. The parents could make their own traditions, but they wanted to hijack OP's maternal family's tradition. Not an if, it's a for sure. There's literally no other reason for Dad to want this other daughter to have it, other than knowing it hurts Opie and his ex-wife. Literally, that is it. He doesn't care if it makes Opie closer with her sister. He just wants to keep hurting his ex, because he has made it clear he has nothing but negative feelings for her. He called her boring and deliberately cheated on her as punishment for being so, and continued to use that as justification to others and why he hurt her. Opie's dad just wants to continue hurting a dead person and doesn't care if it hurts Opie too, because he probably hates Opie too for being connected to her mother. Dad just wants the other daughter to have it, because he probably convinced her to hate Opie and destroy it for fun when she does get it. Everything Dad is doing is on purpose to cause pain and hurt to someone who has been dead, and to Opie because she's an extension of her mother. Pretty pathetic that he's still trying to hurt a dead woman. Next story. Am I the a-hole for canceling my mother-in-law's phone plan so she can't let my nephew use it? Am I the a-hole here? Everyone around me says yes, but I feel super gaslighted by my husband's family right now. We are both late 20s with no kids. We added my mother-in-law to our cell plan a few years ago when we got married because she lives alone and didn't have a cell phone. My husband thinks it will keep her safer to have one for emergencies. At the time we added her for her phone and plan, it was around $20 extra per month. Plan costs have gone up and she got a nicer phone, so now it's close to $50 per month. Pretty steep the way the economy is, right? Anyway, my husband's brother has a young kid. He's 8. He's a nice kid, but not my responsibility. When I called my mother-in-law's cell phone a few days ago, my nephew answered. I asked him if he was at Grandma's house and if I could talk to her. He said no. He was at his house and Grandma's given him her cell phone to keep because his parents wouldn't get him one. My mother-in-law didn't tell me nor my husband about this, and I got pretty angry. I'm already not thrilled about paying for her to have a cell phone. So I'm definitely not happy about paying for my 8-year-old nephew to have it. So I went to her house and told her that if she wasn't going to use the phone, I was going to take it off our plan. And that I wanted the iPhone back from nephew because my husband's screen is cracked, and he can have hers. It will save us a few $100 since we won't have to buy a new phone. Needless to say, she's mad now because it's her phone to do with as she pleases, and she wants nephew to have it. I told her it's not her phone, and we won't pay for it if he's using it. I told hubby I was canceling it, and then I did. I told him if she wants a phone again, or wants nephew to have one, she can sign up for her own plan. He's mad that I did that. Mother-in-law's mad. Nephew and his parents are mad, but I did get the phone back, since it's no longer working on our plan. So am I the a-hole? I don't think I am. We all have to make cuts where we can with this economy. Now for the comments. Wait, the parents who wouldn't let their 8-year-old have a phone are mad? Shouldn't they be angry that your mother-in-law went over their heads? Or is nephew not getting a phone is for financial reasons? They just didn't want to have to pay for a phone, but are happy to have someone else pay for it. Not the a-hole. The whole point was for mother-in-law to have it because she lives alone and might have an emergency. If she chooses not to keep it, then you don't have to pay for anything. And clearly she doesn't need a phone, and she happily gave away someone else's property. Something tells me she intended for nephew to have it. That's why she upgraded a phone. Not the a-hole. Your husband and you put mother-in-law on your cell phone plan for her well-being. She's gotten a nicer phone, and plan costs have gone up, so instead of $20, you now pay $50 to assure mother-in-law's well-being. You have paid her cell phone costs for several years now. 8-year-old nephew's parents won't give him a phone. Mother-in-law gives her phone and plan, which $50 each month to 8-year-old. Now, his parents don't mind him having a phone. No one informed owners and payers of said phone and plan. OP cancels plan and recuperates phone. Now everybody faults OP for not wanting to pay $600 a year for having husband's brother's 8-year-old on their phone plan? Entitled anyone? Even the husband. What a jerk. I get the feeling that he's mad because mom is mad. Bingo. Last story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my son's sister's first birthday? My ex's new wife called me 3 weeks ago and said that she just realized her daughter's birthday was on my week. She asked me to please bring my son to the party or drop him off the night before and they'd bring him back the next morning. She was very entitled about it. She presented me 2 options when I don't have to do either. I said I would think about it, and she got huffy and said he has to be at his little sister's party. I again said I would think about it and she continued to argue, so I hung up. The day before the party, I asked my son, "Do you want to go to your sister's birthday party?" He said he did, so I texted her to tell her we would be there and ask her for the time of the party. She told me it was at noon. So we got there at 12:30 and there were no other cars, which was weird. When we went inside, my ex said he needed to talk to me, and I said that wasn't necessary. It asked where the party guests were. He said he needed to prepare me before I saw his wife. I said, why? Is she pregnant or something? He said she was, and I just rolled my eyes. I again asked where the party guests were. He said the party was at 2, but they wanted to make sure I had time to put myself together before the party. I told him he needed to quit with the soap opera drama, because I don't have time for it. I took time out of my day to accommodate them, but they blew it. I'm not hanging out with them in an empty house for over an hour, and I'm not wasting gas to leave and come back. I took my son to the park and we had a nice day. But my ex texted me a bunch about how I was punishing his daughter for the pregnancy when I don't care that his wife is pregnant. My only response was a text that said, "Grow up." My son asked about his sister's birthday, and I said there was a mix-up with the party time, which is true, and they would all celebrate together when he was at his dad's, so he was chill. My mom said I hurt the birthday girl, but she's one. She's not going to notice who is at her party. My mom told me to be the bigger person, but I feel there is a limit to that. I'm not going to reward lying and trickery in my ex, any more than I would reward it if my 6-year-old did it. Am I the a-hole for leaving and not coming back? So wait, your ex intentionally kept the actual time from you so you would show up early. And all that just so he can tell you about a pregnancy in person and give you time to put yourself together afterwards, as if it's some life-shattering news to you? Hell no, not the a-hole. He really seems to love drama. I would like to know what kind of reaction they wanted. You sobbing on the floor while they can be the bigger person and comfort you? And later they will tell everyone how hard it hit you and how nice they are for being there for you. Whatever weird kind of dream they had about this obviously did not work. They could have been normal and told you the actual time. It was already nice of you to bring your son. I would have told them they can drive if they want him to join during your time. I'm sure that was his fantasy. He's always preferred fantasy to reality. I thought it was romantic when I was young and stupid. Unfortunately, I too was made of flesh and bone, so he tired of me quickly. But it's fine. He gave me a gift I'd never return. I won't begrudge him the pain. It thickened my skin at least. Not the a-hole. They weren't honest with you. Your ex could have called you to tell you about the new pregnancy. They didn't need to trick you ahead of time. It was kind of you to show up with your child in your own parenting time. Next time you speak with them, let them know they need to be honest with you, or you will never be flexible with your own parenting time again. If you don't make a clear boundary, they will do this more, especially if they're making more children. They'll want to do more family parties, more vacations when it may be on your time. It would be nice if you could both be flexible with each other, but honesty and open communication is key here. They have to play ball too for it to work. Good luck, OP. Co-parenting is not easy. But if he was honest with me, he wouldn't have gotten a soap opera moment. He is, after all, the main character of life, and we are all just supporting players in a story. Jokes aside, you're right, but that's never going to happen. He's allergic to honesty. The only reason I didn't suspect trickery was because his wife made a request, not him. But I guess it's rubbed off on her. Lol. Well then, he doesn't get flexibility from you. That's his choice. You're right, they blew it. But they'll be claiming they're the victims until the end of time. It is what it is, I guess. Am I the a-hole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law had their twins last year. They didn't want to put them in daycare and asked me if I could watch them. I've been doing childcare my whole adult life, as a nanny, and at the time I had a well-paying nanny job. My son and daughter-in-law couldn't afford to pay me as much, but I didn't mind as they're my grandkids and I love them. I do it for free, but I have to pay my bills. I did make sure multiple times that this was going to be permanent. I was quitting a good job for this, and I didn't want to have to scramble last minute. They swore up and down that it'd be until they were 3. I agreed, but I've had so much fun watching them this past year. They're now 18 months old, and I've started to teach them colors, ABCs, etc. We go to playgroup so they can be with kids their age. My son and daughter-in-law sat me down last week, saying they feel more comfortable with the daycare. After doing research, they feel it's best they're in daycare now. They've already found one and gave me 2 weeks' notice. I was upset. They promised me 3 years of work, and now we have to scramble to find a new job they'll pay as well as my last one. I said all of this, and they said it wasn't fair for me to expect them to keep to that. I pointed out what this would do financially to me, and they said they had to think of themselves. They're paying the child care more, but it's worth it. I said now I don't know how I'll pay my bills, including my son's student loans that I pay. I left shortly after. My son says his wife cried and that I shouldn't have guilted them about this. He said bringing up the money was manipulative. Am I the a-hole? As I know of, they're only sending them to daycare for socialization. They say there's nothing wrong with my care. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. They broke their commitment, and they are a-holes for making you pay student loans. Stop paying immediately if you can. This times 100. Do not pay student loans. If they can afford daycare, they can afford to pay loans. Not today, home. And stop paying your son's student loans, unless they are in your name. Even then, she should heavily put the onus on him to pay. You can clearly afford your student loans by yourself like an adult now. So since you've broken our commitment to me and I have loss of pay, I'm stopping my generous contribution to your financial obligations. Not today, home. Did you have any kind of formal contract? I would strongly consider not paying your son's student loans either. Typically, I would have a contract. But they were family, so I thought we'd forgo it. I didn't think they'd screw me over. The loans are in his name, but we had an agreement that I'd pay the loan and he'd pay interest. Is that agreement in writing? Lol. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not. I'll probably stop paying. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting a teacher fired when she wouldn't let my daughter eat in class? My 47 female daughter, 13 female, is type 1 diabetic and sometimes hypoglycemic. Due to this, we set up a 504 that says she can eat a snack in class whenever needed, along with other accommodations. Anyways, at one point, one of her teachers, who is apparently a new teacher, denies her a snack while hypoglycemic. She nearly passes out, but then the next class she's in, the teacher has enough common sense to let her eat a snack before passing out at school. When she told me, I immediately called the teacher. When she called back, I lectured her and told her that she needed to let my daughter eat a snack when needed. She says snacks aren't allowed in class, but I tell her that due to my daughter's 504, she's legally required to give my daughter an exception to that rule, and recommended she give it another read. Before hanging up, I tell her that if she does this again, I will contact the principal and let him know. I recorded this call in my husband's phone, by the way. A month goes by and the same thing happens again. I request a meeting with the principal and my husband plays back the call between me and the teacher. I tell him she has done this twice and needs to have a talk with her. Turns out, he actually fired her for ADA violations. How do I know? I ran into her in public, and she told me that it's my fault I got her fired over some stupid snacks, and that I need to stop raising an entitled brat. Instead of arguing back, I just walked away. Was I really the a-hole? Did I actually go too far? Not the a-hole. A 504 is legally binding agreement that the school has to follow. The teacher was actually probably fired because she didn't follow the 504, and the school could get in trouble for that. ADA is the American with Disability Act, so I believe it would be an ADA violation to deny my daughter an accommodation that she needs. Not the a-hole. It's your fault that you threw your career away over some stupid snacks. I'm honestly baffled by the stupidity of this teacher. Not the a-hole. She put your daughter's life at risk. Twice. The school did her a favor, frankly, by firing her. Better be fired than let your foolish choices harm a child in your care and then have to deal with the consequences. In a way, the teacher was saved from herself. This reminds me of the idiotic high school coaches who harm children through negligence, but not recognizing heat stroke or other injuries. It is so easy to not actively fatally harm children under your care. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom it's her fault I live in a cave? So my 18 female mom has been charging me market rate rent since I started working at 16, and I was left with travel money and just about had food money left. I got a pay raise recently, earning pretty much double what I was previously, and she tried to up my rent even further. When I refused, she kicked me out. This was the end of July and I'm just now kind of back on my feet. Recently moved into an apartment and my rent is quite high, and because it was furnished, I have a slight bit of wiggle room to start buying the essentials. I've started with the stuff I just need. I still haven't gotten around to buying real plates or cutlery because I haven't been able to, so I've been eating off plastic. I also have one light bulb, and I just take it from room to room. So, my mom asked if she could come over and talk yesterday, and I agreed to it. She came over, and the first thing she did was complain about how bare and dark it was. It was bright when she first came, so I was using the natural light. She eventually decided to order us food, and when it came, she asked where the forks were. She got them and got really angry that they were plastic. She went off at me, saying I can't afford this place since it's like I'm living in a cave, and that I should find something cheaper. I told her if she wasn't charging me more than what I'm paying here, I would have savings that didn't all go on an emergency deposit. And maybe then I'd have light bulbs and stainless steel forks. She thinks I'm being an a-hole for back talking. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Might be important to add that the rent I'm paying now, including bills, etc., is still less than what my mother was charging me. And now I can walk to work, so travel expenses are cut out almost entirely. Not stay whole and let me go ahead and say something your awful mother never will. I am so proud of you. You are building your future one light bulb at a time and not complaining one bit. You got out of a bad situation and are working to be financially stable. Those are all big accomplishments, and you were amazing for them. I suggest that you start limiting contact with your mom. It doesn't seem like she's a positive influence in your life, and I think you would be happier and free to grow more confidence if she wasn't around to put you down. She was abusive in charging you to live with your parents as a minor, and the way she treats you isn't okay. I hope you realize that and make the best choices for your mental health. Oh, also, I don't know if this will apply for you, but check with your power company. Mine sends boxes of free light bulbs for part of an energy initiative. You could also try your local food banks for a few extra staples and get some forks and spoons from the dollar store from the money you would have spent on the food. Good luck on your journey to self-sufficiency. I'd also like to add that thrift stores are a great place to buy silverware and serving sets when you get around to purchasing them. A lot of time you can find full china sets for next to nothing. Not only not a-hole, what your mom did was illegal. You cannot charge underage people runs unless they're emancipated. Take her to small claims courts and get back the 2 years of illegal runs she took. Be careful going this route, Opie. Reddit likes to pretend that we're bastions of free will individuals in a libertarian society. Suing your mom may be more damaging than the money you could get back. A parent who charges their minor child market rate rent is automatically the a-hole. Completely agree. Especially when the rent magically starts rising the sooner you get a pay raise. Opie shouldn't share their wages with their family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for judging my daughter? I'll preface this by saying that I have 2 daughters. Amy, 27, and Lily, 19. Lily just had her first baby months ago. The father is out of the picture, and she's only went to college 1 year, then dropped out to focus on her son. She's living with us right now and doesn't work. Amy's a college graduate, working and is engaged. She's doing well financially. She and her fiancé bought a decent apartment together. She visits every now and then, and she visited us yesterday for half an hour to tell us she was going to Ohio on a field trip with her friends and visit many places and national parks there. Lily looked sad throughout the entire visit and didn't speak till Amy left. I asked Lily what was wrong, and she said it wasn't fair that she doesn't have a job nor a degree, nor enough money to buy nice things or a new phone. And not even time to go on trips and enjoy herself. While Amy has money, recently bought a new apartment, and is going on a trip every now and then. She said it wasn't fair because she is younger than Amy and deserves to live her life too. And she asked, why? I frowned because I sensed some envy and resentment towards Amy. Even though it's not her fault, this is how Lily's life is like. I answered her question by saying that Amy didn't make any of the decision Lily did, and didn't choose all the roads Lily did, and so she shouldn't compare herself to her. Lily looked at me stunned, saying that I just basically blame her for the decisions she made and the roads she chose to walk down. I didn't respond, and she lashed out saying I was clearly judging her, which was cruel of me since she never said she regretted having her baby or dropping out of college, but I made it about that. I said I was sorry she misunderstood my point, and she called me a few names then stormed out of the kitchen, and kept ignoring me and refusing to speak to me saying I know what I did. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your delivery might have been a little awkward, but it was the truth. Lily's living with the consequences of her own decisions, which is adulting 101. Amy's also living with the consequences of her own decisions. If Lily doesn't like her life, then she can choose to change her situation. From the sounds of it, you are supporting Lily and her child, at least by keeping her housed. She sounds a bit entitled, spoiled, but perhaps needs mental health support to help her see her future differently. It might even be time to talk to Lily about her long-term plans. It's also not too late for Lily to turn her life around. She wants Amy's life. She can go back to school and get that degree. Work out some sort of babysitting schedule or childcare plan. Lily should also remember that Amy has an 8-year head start on her. It's unrealistic to expect to have hit the same milestones as a 27-year-old woman at age 19. 1000% not a a-hole. She has a baby young. It's a different path. It's not going to look as shiny as someone who took a different path. Sounds like Lily just saw the consequences of her choices, but still doesn't quite get it. You said nothing wrong. You didn't blame her for her choices or victimize her. You just let her know there's a reason their lives look different. I hope she kicks the entitled attitude soon though. Not a a-hole. She reacted how a child would react. I suppose she wanted you to tell her that nothing is her fault and reinforce her point that life isn't fair. I think you dealt with it the correct way. You explained that the decisions you make in life have an outcome. Lily looked at me stunned, saying that I just basically blame her for the decisions she made and the roads she chose to walk down. I'm stunned that she was stunned at the idea that the decisions she made and the roads she chose to walk down are her fault. And now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's friend the reason I'm not interested in her daughter? So, I stopped by my mom's house to pick up some stuff yesterday. Her friend was over because they had just gotten back from shopping. I've known my mom's friend Carla for a while. She has a daughter my age, and Carla has hinted before about introducing us. Well, I was running some stuff back and forth to my car when I heard Carla talking to my mom about how she just wished her daughter would get her life together and meet someone nice. Then she called my name and asked if I'm seeing anyone, to which I said no. Then she was all, "You should take my daughter out sometime. I'm sure you'd hit it off. She needs to meet a nice guy like you." I was like, I'm not sure. I'm kind of busy. Then I went back in my old room. I've heard enough from both Carla and my mom about her daughter to know that she's not my type. Her daughter was in a 2-year college for 4 years and then dropped out, which is normally not bad. Then she had a decent job and quit because it was boring. She has a substance problem and is in and out of rehab, and she bounces from one guy to the next, and somehow gets them to pay her bills. A while passed and I got what I came for and was saying goodbye to my mom when Carla started badgering me. "So, when are you going to take her out?" I let her know. I said, I'm kind of busy right now. Too busy to take a nice girl out on a Friday? Yeah, and I'm not really interested, sorry. Well, why not? She's a nice, pretty girl. You'd be good for her. I was getting annoyed because I felt cornered and looked at my mom for help, but she didn't do anything. So I said, yeah, maybe, but that doesn't mean she'd be good for me. What's that supposed to mean? Well, I'm not really into girls that don't have a job and have addiction problems. She flipped out and said she can't believe I'd be so rude. She's known me since I was a kid, and that she was trying to fix me up with her daughter. I should take it as a compliment. Instead of insulting her daughter, I could have just said no. I left and my mom called me later and said it was really mean to say that to Carla when she was just trying to be nice. That I came off like a snobby a-hole. Even if I wasn't interested, I could have been nicer about it. Am I the a-hole? I could have just said no, which is exactly what you did. Not the a-hole, Opie. Came here to say this. Opie said no. She shouldn't have asked why if she didn't want to hear the answer. Even if the answer wasn't she's an addict. It was bound to be something that was not going to be complimentary. She's the a-hole for asking the question and then getting mad at him for answering honestly. Right? Like, what possible answer to that question would be deemed acceptable? I've taken a lifelong vow of celibacy? Your daughter is such a paragon of purity that I may only worship her from afar from anonymous tokens of my undying devotion. I'm a werewolf, and your daughter deserves someone who won't turn into a man-eating monster once a month. Obviously, it's a rhetorical question meant to manipulate Opie into a reluctant agreement to take her out. But people who ask blatantly manipulative rhetorical questions deserve actual answers. Her mom has stated she has substance problem and uses guys. Why would you even want that in your life? Edit. Forgot to say you did say no more than once. They pushed, and it's their fault for the response in my mind. Yeah. If Opie had said the insults right off the bat the first time Carla ever mentioned dating her daughter, it'd be an a-hole. But it's clear she's been at it a long time. And during this visit Carla kept pushing, Opie tried to be polite and brush it off as not wanting to date anyone at the moment, which is the gentlest rejection ever. Not only would she not take no for an answer, she demanded to know why Opie wasn't interested. It's not really his fault she didn't like the answer. People who are super pushy about trying to matchmake others are total a-holes to me. Even if the person they're being pushy about isn't a bad person or anything like that, it's still annoying if they won't just listen to a no. Am I the a-hole for announcing to my sexist stepfather that I'll not be sharing my college funds with my stepbrother? I, 18 female, found out a couple months ago that I got into my dream school early that happens to be an Ivy League. I was so overjoyed and my parents were happy for me too. We're not too well off, but my grandma saved up money for her only granddaughter's college fund, me, which is more than enough to fund my tuition. Now, I have a stepbrother, Damon, 19 male. He took a gap year? Not really, and he is going to college too, but he's going to a college less costly than mine. Honestly, he's only going to attend college because of his dad's incessant nagging. So recently, my parents, more like my stepdad, is bugging me about sharing my college funds with Damon. I don't want to, or else I'll have debt after graduation, and it will ruin all my financial planning after college. But last night at dinner was my breaking point when stepdad asked again. I said no. Then he said to my mom, well, anyway, Amy's a girl. Why waste that much money on her college? I completely lost it. I yelled out, you know what? I've had enough. First of all, it is not even your money to decide what to do with it. It's the money my grandma left for my college tuition. Besides, my gender doesn't define my intelligence. I got into an Ivy League, didn't I? Then Damon piped in and said I need to accept he's smarter, with a grin. Now here's where I may have been the a-hole. I said, at least I have plans and ambitions, unlike Damon who told everyone he took a gap year when he actually failed, which is true. Stepdad and Damon stormed off and my mom called me an a-hole. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your money. You actually got into an Ivy League, unlike Damon. And it sounds as if you know enough to not insult someone when you're asking them for a favor. Again, unlike Damon. Your mother is an a-hole too, though. She should have your back. While the stepdad and Damon are like the mustache-twirling villains of this post, the real problem is actually Opie's mom. She should be protecting Opie's future and her college fund. She should be standing up for Opie when her husband and stepson insult her daughter. She should have intervened at Opie's behalf before it got to the point where Opie blew up and responded to their baseless bullying with cold hard facts. And she should never call her daughter an a-hole for standing up for herself. Not the a-hole if it's not obvious. The sexist, stereotypical stepdad and stepbrother are absolutely a-holes, but the mom is an a-hole and a failure of a parent. You would be the a-hole if you gave your grandmother's money to a person she did not intend it for. Did she scrimp and save for all those years for your stepbrother? No. She did it because her greatest wish was for you to go to college debt-free. So do what she wished. Your stepfather is trying to steal your money. He will try to pressure your mother to give it to him. Lock that money down, so only you have access to it. Not the a-hole. First of all, congratulations on getting into a school of your dreams. I'm sorry your mom is such a pushover. She should have stood up for you against those two bullies. It is money for your education and yours only. If your stepdad wanted Damon, or himself, to have less financial burden for his education, he should have done something about that. What did Damon do anyway during his so-called gap year? He should have worked to save some money for his education. But I guess he didn't think about that because he's being made to go to college. Not the a-hole. Quick note, call the bank today. Tell them you need enhanced account protection to protect yourself against a family member attempting to steal your money. Many of the verification questions that a bank would ask to verify your identity are well known to your family members. If this ends up being unnecessary, then no harm, no foul. But when your mom is on board with you having to give money to your stepbrother, you need to protect yourself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for choosing my senior cat over my sister and potentially allowing her to become homeless? I will preface this by saying that my mother treated my sister and I differently. I was always less than, while she could do no wrong. She'd always buy my sister everything she wanted, while I wore her hand-me-downs. I moved out at 18, worked through college, went no contact with mom and low contact with sister, and our paths diverged greatly from there. I now work in a field that pays well, while she is a stay-at-home mom. I guess I never quite got over this, and while I know the main a-hole is my mother, and my sister didn't really know any better, I still fester negative feelings towards both of them. I found Tom in a bag as a newborn kitten. He was the only one still alive, and I raised him over summer break when I was 13. Then, when school started, my mother got rid of him and I had to go through great and extreme lengths to find out where she dumped him. Took me a week to find him, and we've been together ever since. For a few months now, Tom hasn't really been okay, and has been slowly declining. The vet, however, based on the recent blood panel we did, was confident that he still have some life left to live, and said that he's by far the healthiest geriatric cat she's seen in a while. Thus, we decided to try out surgery to improve his quality of life, even though he's 21. This surgery comes with a price tag. I'm not in the US, but it's around 3 months worth of minimum wage in my country. It won't set us back much, hardly an inconvenience, but we'll be frugal just in case complications happen. He's scheduled for Monday, fingers crossed. Anyway, my sister dropped by on Sunday, which was strange as we spoken since she messaged me a Merry Christmas gif on Facebook. Looks like her husband jumped heavy onto the NFT bandwagon, and they're kinda broke and a few months behind on mortgage, and asked if I could help out with the payments since they're at risk of becoming homeless. I said I'm sorry she's going through this, but this is not a good time for me either and listed the reasons above. I do not want to ever be in a situation where my cat's life depends on $100 that I cannot afford to pay. I suggested she got a job and maybe downsize/move in with mother while they get back up on their feet. She did not take this well, called me a C-word and a crazy cat lady that's going to end up alone, plus some other nice words, so I kicked her out. My mother and other relatives have been spamming me through the week for being heartless and caring more about an animal than my own flesh and blood. My husband says I could have just given her some cash to avoid the drama. And he's right, I could have. This is why I feel like I might be the a-hole, because in the end, the main reason I chose not to help is due to my childhood baggage. Not the a-hole. Have you asked the family that has been spamming you how much they are financially contributing towards your sister? Hope the surgery goes well, and wish a speedy recovery for Tom. Not the a-hole, but next time, just tell her no, OP. She doesn't need to know your reasons. And respond to all the relatives, thank you so much for letting me know that I made a wrong choice. I will let my sister know that you'll be catching her up on her bills. Between you and X and Y and Z, she should be able to remain home and not get a job, while also staying in her house. I suggest you all get in contact with each other to figure out what you can each contribute. You truly are amazing people. I would send the same message, with names changed to every one of them. And then, I'd create a chat you can jump out of, including your sister, and say, X, Y, and Z have graciously agreed to pay your bills. These people are truly amazing. I'll just off this chat and let you guys handle it from here. Then, leave and block them all. In the end, the main reason I chose not to help is due to my childhood baggage. It's enough of a reason to me. They treated you like trash, and now do they expect you to run to your sister's help with a smile on your face? Not the a-hole. I wanted to say that depending on the age, the sister might be an innocent here. But based on her unhinged reaction, I doubt it. OP, I'm not sure you did this because of the baggage from your mom. It sounds like you did it because your sister is a jerk. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving up anything for someone who wasn't willing to give up anything for me? My male 24 parents passed away when I was very young. I have 3 siblings, a sister and 2 brothers. All of them are much older than me. After my parents passed away, I wanted to live with either my sister or my second brother, but both of them made it very clear that they don't want me. I don't want to go with my oldest brother because he is our half-brother and wasn't close to him, and I lived in another city, away from all of my friends and the rest of our family, but he was the only one who wanted me, so I went with him. Unlike what I thought, my oldest brother is actually awesome, and I had a very good life. I still live with him. My other siblings didn't even bother to call much. This was just a short background that I thought might be relevant. Recently, my second brother lost everything. I don't know nor care about what happened. All I know is he is in a very bad condition. My sister left the country a few years ago, so my oldest brother is the only one who can help him. A few days ago, my oldest brother told us my brother and his family, wife and sons 11 and 17, want to move in with us for a while because they have no other option as his wife doesn't have a family. We live in a 5-bedroom house. My brother's room, my room, his daughter's room, his aunt's room, and our gaming room. So we have the space for them to move in. My brother said he doesn't want to force us to give up our space and wants us to figure out something that works for us. My nephew said he is fine with giving up the gaming room or sharing for a short time. But I said screw them. I'm not sharing or giving up anything for them, but my niece does what I say, so she is on my side. My brother said he is a bit disappointed, but won't force us to do anything. However, my second brother and his wife think we are selfish a-holes. Now for the comments. It is not your house, so are you really in a position to make decisions here? I don't feel like you owe him anything, but you should respect that your elder brother might not share your feelings and it is his house. Influencing a child is an a-hole move. I'm not sure about judgment. Yes, but he specifically mentions he was given the decision. Info, how old was he / what was his life situation when you were orphaned? Was he able to take you in? When he said no, did he say, I'm sorry, I can't, knowing your oldest brother would? Or did he say, no, I don't want you, not knowing what the outcome would be either way? The unknowns here make or break the story. He was 23, but he inherited a lot of money when our parents passed away, so he didn't have any financial problems. He didn't know my oldest brother would take me in. So he was 23 with a child. I think that not taking you in was probably a very mature decision. My oldest brother was 26 with 2 kids. Kicking your brother potentially into the foster care system when you have the financial resources to make it work? That is insanely callous. You're the a-hole, not because of not giving a damn about a brother who clearly didn't give a damn about you. You are the a-hole because you are interfering with your half-brother doing for your other brother exactly what he did for you, helping out when help is needed. As you said, your half-brother is an awesome person and the type who helps family when they need it. I wonder whether half-brother really doesn't want to take them in either, but it's easier on him to let OP look like the bad guy than to say no himself. Half-brother could overrule OP if he chose to do so. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling sister we can't be roommates because I don't want men I don't know in the hypothetical apartment? I'm 30 and she's 28. My daughter is 6, and I also work from home. I'm a single mom, widow, and I want to get info on one-bedroom apartment I love. My sister tagged along, and in order to get a move-in special, I had to do another tour, and it was the first time she'd toured it. She already has an apartment, but loved the complex I'm moving to. Afterwards, my sister asked if I wanted to be roommates. I don't want a roommate. Keep in mind I've told my family about the apartment, and they all know I'm only looking at 1-bedrooms. I want to build my life, and this will be the first time having my own place as a single mom. Honestly, she also isn't dependable financially or time-wise. She also has a history of letting guys she barely knows come to her apartment and give them a key. I'm not judging as that's her choice, but I'm not okay with that all. So I just said reasons that I didn't think would offend her. First, I said no because you can't smoke grass there. She said she would do it on the balcony, and I said you can't because the complex is strict about it. It's a brand new apartment, and quality housing is hard to find here, so I'm not risking anything just so someone can smoke. She then said that she'd just go to a friend's house to smoke, and asked what other reasons do I have. At that point, I had to be direct and say that we can't be roommates because I wouldn't be comfortable with non-related men in the apartment. And she got angry and asked me why. I have a very young daughter. I don't like being around men I don't know, so I only want to live with just my daughter. I want to be independent and have a stable lifestyle for the two of us. I said that I understand if she is comfortable with guys she knows, but I don't know them and will not be comfortable. I would only be okay with our dad, brothers, and a trusted male family friend that would only visit, and I would pay to help with moving, putting furniture together, etc. She was mad, and then said that if it's her place too, then she should be able to bring the guy. Remember? This is a hypothetical apartment, and she knows that I only looked at and only getting a 1-bedroom apartment. I told her that I understand, but I don't agree, so that's why I can't live with someone else because I'm very strict about that. She then said whatever, and acted mad towards me. Edit, I should have explained why it's an issue. I'm big on safety and taking precautions. My daughter likes to visit and sometimes sleep the night, and just hang out with her aunt/my sister. I allow it since sometimes I go, and my sister lives alone. If I have to go to my office for a few hours on weekends, she sometimes goes to my sister's place. When my sister told me that she gave a guy her key for a bit, it made me feel uncomfortable, so I nicely suggested that she gets her locks changed. Keep in mind, she told me she knew this guy for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. My mind went to my daughter. What if this guy made a copy of the key and randomly comes over, especially when my daughter's there? When I said that, she got mad and said the guy wouldn't do that. Again, I nicely explained that she doesn't know for sure, and I'm just concerned about her safety. Not the a-hole. Your only mistake was continuing to explain anything to her. No is a complete sentence. You could have followed it with, because I don't want to. Yeah, I should have kept it at that. I thought by explaining it, she'd understand and not think to bring it up again. And you are 100% right to think of your safety and that of your daughter. Your sister can do whatever she wants, and go her. But let's not be naive. Strange men will be left alone without sister in your home, potentially with your child. I had a roommate in college like this once. I woke up 2 times to random guy in the living room demanding I make them breakfast because she had told them I would. I'm pretty assertive and made them leave. She got angry, but I told her if it ever happened again, she would come home to her crap on the lawn and locks changed. I was the leaseholder while she was illegal sub-renter. The office of the building knew this. I had already asked them about this, and they said, yup, they would come and change the locks if she put my safety at risk. A few weeks went by, and her crap ended up on the lawn and we never spoke again. I honestly don't care what she did, but she needed to be escorting her guests at all times. Leaving strangers alone in my home while I was asleep? GTFO. Not the a-hole. Setting boundaries that feel good to you is always a good thing. You're protecting yourself and your daughter physically, emotionally, and financially. People who get mad about boundaries usually don't have good boundaries of their own. Or they're mad about losing access to whatever they were leeching off you. That makes a lot of sense. I have firm boundaries, and she gets mad when I say no for things that she regrettably agrees to do.